Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand, and all is well in your world. Hello there, everybody. We're into A&Q Thursday, everybody. So, let's get to question one, shall we? Yes, let's go. Okay, so question one today is, what pickup magnet do you prefer, if any? And what is your opinion on difference of these, if you have any? If you have one, sorry. Pickup magnets, do I prefer? I don't really care. I just go by what it sounds like. If a pickup sounds good and feels good, I don't really care what it is. It really don't. I don't care if it's ceramic or whatnot. Really, I really don't have much of a preference if that comes down to it. It's like as long as the pickup sounds good in the guitar it's in, that's all that matters. I don't really care or go into the details of what they are. I don't really care about kind of like the output of the pickup. I don't really care about like if it's a ceramic magnet or whatever, or what magnets are in it. Are they Alnico 719, 7675 I don't care what they are, just as long as they sound good and they feel good and they give it the sound that I want. I just go by what the pickup sounds like, really, as simple as that. I'm not really a stickler for details on all my guitars need to have Alnico blah de blah, or they need to be this, or they need to have this output, or they need to be high output, low output, whatever. I don't really care. If the pickup sounds good, the pickup sounds good. And if it lives in the guitar really nicely, then it lives in the guitar really nicely. I'm not really a big tweaker of pickups or guitars, really. I don't really like messing around with guitars. Once they are what they are, I tend to just leave them alone. But in certain guitars I have changed pickups on. I've changed them simply because the pickups in that aren't working for me, and I've changed them to something that does work for me. But again, I don't go into details of what they actually are. I don't care what the magnets are or how many winds or what the output is. Like I say, if a pickup sounds good, it's good. It's literally as simple as that for me. It's the same thing as rosewood necks, rosewood fretboards and maple fretboards. I don't have a preference on that. I don't care. And the same thing with woods bodies as well. Like what is it older? Is it ash? Is it mahogany? Is it kind of a maple cap or whatever? I don't care for that either. As long as the guitar's good and feels good and is sturdy and together, it could be made out of MDF, like the Batacaster. I don't really care. Just as long as the guitar is good itself, I couldn't give a monkey's what it's made out of or what's in it. If it sounds good, feels good, plays good, it's good. I don't really go into details of that kind of thing. I'm not very technically minded, and I think that's the reason for this. My brain doesn't function very well when it has to kind of think about kind of like what capacitors and what values are, and what value the pickups are, and what's the output and all that kind of thing. I don't really go into that because it just kind of confuses me, and I just kind of get a bit bored of it, to be honest with you. I just want to play the things, and if they sound good, that's all I care about. As long as they feel good and they sound good, I don't care what's in them or what they're made from. I really don't. It really doesn't matter to me at all. There's a lot of people out there I know, people like Slash, they want certain pickups and they want certain wood and this and the other. I don't have those kind of scruples. I really don't give a monkeys. If the guitar's good, it's good. It doesn't matter what it's made out of. If the guitar sounds good, feels good, and plays good, like I said, sorry to reiterate, then it's good. I couldn't give a monkeys of what the pickup magnets are or anything. So, but that's just me. That's the way I perceive things. That's the way I see things. I've never really hair in my mouth. I've never really been that bothered about technical aspects of a guitar. I just want to play them more than anything, and certain guitars sound a certain way, and I love them for that. I haven't really got much of a care for the tech side of things, I mean, there are occasions where kind of like, I'll trade out volume pots if one dies, but they have to die, really. And I know, obviously, for instance, like my Strats, I want a 250k pot in there, because I don't like 500. I've tried that. I don't like that. And for instance, like the Chapman Pro X was too dark for me, so I put a 1 meg pot in it to brighten it up, because I just didn't like the 500. The 500k wasn't doing it justice for me. especially through my setup, it just sounded a bit dull and lifeless. And I put the 1 meg pot in the Chapman, and all of a sudden it was like, hello! And I absolutely adore the sound of that thing now. It's amazing. I really love it. But again, I don't get hung up on the technical aspect of things. Invariably, if it's a Les Paul, it'll have 500k pots in it. That's about as far as I know. If it's a Strat F250. The Chapman has 1 meg. Stuff like that. But again, I don't get really hung up on details of what's in what. If it sounds good, that's all I care about, really. Same with pickups. Like, some of the best pickups, some of the pickups that I really like, are cheap ones. Like the Squire Bullet, for instance. I love the pickups in Squire Bullets. They're amazing. But they're just, cheapo thingy ones. But I love them nonetheless. They're great. Anyway. But yeah, I don't really have preferences, really. It's like, I judge the guitar as a whole. If the guitar's good, then it's good. I'm not really interested in kind of, it's got to have this to be good, if that makes any sense. Like, I've got to have this, I've got to have that, I've got to have this wood, I've got to have these pickups, I've got to have that kind of wiring. I couldn't give a monkey's about that, really, personally, from my perspective. I just want the guitar to communicate with me and talk to me, and if it doesn't, then I don't really want it. I just go by that, basically. So I hope that's your question. I'm going to move on to question 2 now. So, question 2 today, bonk, is, I know you already talked about John Frusciante's equipment, but I'm pretty sure that recreating John's tone wouldn't be very cheap. Do you know any affordable alternatives to his amps, pedals, pickups? Thank you. You are the best. Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind. Recreating John's tone is very easy. If you understand the fundamentals of John's tone. The fact it's not clean, the fact that there's compression as well, because from the amps not being kind of driven. So when and like I say, I talk about this at length in my John Frusciante series. If you haven't seen my John Frusciante series, please go to my channel and look through my playlist. There's 22 videos on John there that I've done quite a while. I can't do them anymore because of copyright law. I can't teach songs, or I've got to be careful really what I do, because as soon as I put anything resembling a Chili Peppers song, I get copyright flagged and my video gets blocked. So I've got to be careful on that kind of front. I can do in the style of, luckily, but I can't play their songs and I can't do much. But I miss those days, to be honest with you. I miss being able to play like Chili Peppers songs when I feel like it. But hey, such is life. But no, John's tone, once you understand the fundamentals of John's tone, again, heavily driven amplifiers, still clean but dirty clean. They're not clean like they sound. It's an illusion of clean. Once you understand those fundamentals, it's very, very easy to kind of like get that kind of sound. The one thing you kind of, like I say, the one thing you mainly need to focus on is getting it right in your brain, because it always sounds more distorted than it actually is in the room. What I will say is, if you get like a John Frusciante tone and you say, oh, is that too distorted? Is that too distorted? If you can record it on your phone or whatever, record it and then listen to it back, you'll hear it sounds a lot cleaner through a recording device. And it's a really weird what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, it's just really, really weird, basically. John's tone is a lot more overdriven than it appears to be. It really is. And again, from the Marshalls, they're compressing heavily as well. And that compression from those amps helps keep the Ibanez Wah and the DS2 and any other pedals he's got in check volume-wise. They will not peak because the amps are so loud and compressed that they've only got this much range to bounce about in. So that, it's very kind of limited of where they can go distortion-wise. Like I said, I've done loads of videos on this in my John Frusciante series, and also other videos outside of the John series actually as well. But it's very easy to kind of like approximate. You can't nail John's tone because you're not John Frusciante, and you don't. And another thing as well is you don't need John's gear perfectly to get his sound. You don't need a Silver Jubilee. You don't need a Marshall Major. You don't need a CE1 chorus pedal. You don't need a 62 Strat. You don't need all the Moog pedals. You don't need the Line 6 delay modeler or the filter modeler or any of these things. The pedals you do need are a wah pedal and a Boss DS2. And I've always said that, you don't need anything else. Those two pedals are key because you can get around the chorus pedal. You can get around the delay pedal. You can get around the Mooga Fugas. You can get around the modulate, the OB wire uses in throwaway television, and the phasers and all these other things. But you really do need a decent wah-wah pedal like the Ibanez V3, the Ibanez WX10 V3 or V2. They all work. And a Boss DS2. And it doesn't matter if the Boss DS2 is Taiwanese or Japanese, it'll work either way. They both sound amazing. All my DS2s are Taiwanese, and they sound really close to me. Again, you're never going to get it 100%. You've got to approximate. You can never be 100%, and that's the one thing we have to kind of understand. And we also have to understand as well is the recorded tones we hear aren't necessarily what's coming out the amps. It varies on what they might have done to it post-production in the studio, or what they did post-production recording live, and what EQ did they add on it live, what did they do, and which amp are we hearing more of. And again, that's another thing I speak about at length in some of these videos, is John's tone is an amalgamation of two amplifiers. It's not one amp. It's a Jubilee and the Major. And that's what you got to always think. To emulate two guitar tone, two amps in one amp, it's difficult. Anyway, but yeah, if you want an alternative, affordable alternatives, Boss Katana. Mark 1 or Mark 2 Boss Katanas. You can't go wrong. I have a video called Getting John Frusciante's Tone with Boss Katana 50 watt. I believe it's a 50 watt. And you can get it very, very easy with Boss Katana. I always recommend Boss Katanas. They are literally incredible. They are incredible amps. They really are. So Boss Katana would be amp I would recommend. Pedal-wise, like I say, Boss DS2 and the Ibanez V3. Those two pedals are the only two pedals you really, really need, because inside the Boss you have chorus, you have delay, you have phasers and modulations and stuff like that. If you have access to the Tone Studio, you can dial all these in with the Boss Katana. You don't need to get extra pedals. They're all in the amp. And again, if you get the K-switch, if you get the 100 watt version with the K-switch, the strip switch, to control it, you can literally have all this dialed in, just on through the amp. So the only pedals you would have is the K-switch, the strip pedal, and the DS2 and the Ibanez wah. The Vox Silvertop wah will work as well, but not as you need it boosting really. The Ibanez is really where to go. Pickup wise, it doesn't really, it does matter, but it doesn't. You don't want to go too heavy down that line. As long as they're a vintage style, kind of staggered pole piece pickup. But saying that, I say that now, but like Squier Bullets, they sound great for John. I don't know what those pickups are, but they're amazing. The Squier Bullets sound amazing for John Tone. They really do. Unfortunately, I had to part with mine again recently because of financial woes. But I sold mine recently. But though the Squier Bullets are amazing guitars. Failing that, you could always go for a classic vibe if you have a bit of a higher budget. I wouldn't really recommend Affinities. I don't really like Affinities. I don't really rate Affinities. They're a bit hit and miss. But the Squier Bullets are amazing. Squier Classic Vibe are amazing. Revelation have some really cool guitars, like budget kind of Strat kind of models. They're amazing as well. Trying to think of anything else. Just stuff like that really. Pedal, like I say, pedal wise, amp wise, that's what I recommend. Guitar wise, that's what I'd recommend. Trying to think if there's anything else I can think of. Again, totally depends on how big of a budget you've got. Because again, getting a Boss Katana Mark 1 100 watt, you can pick them up relatively cheap now, second hand. And they've got it all. The only thing they don't have is the right wah and the right distortion. You need the DS2. They're really unique to John's Tone, and you need really a wah that emulates the Ibanez. That has a preamp boost in it, so it can kick out some of that kind of John wah stuff. As for effects, you can get around every other effect. A multi-effects unit like a zoom unit. That'll have a step filter in it. You could do for throwaway television. It'll have delays, choruses, phasers, flanges. You name it, it'll be in there, and you can get approximate sounds with that. You don't need to go out and buy John's exact rig. Like I say, you don't even have to go out and buy, a Marshall amp. The Katana does it. It really does. It really does. The Katana does it so well. And like I said, I've got videos on that somewhere in my channel. they just sound really good to me, and they sound really close to me as well, and messing around with them. But again, it's just understanding the fundamentals of John's tone. The fact it's not clean, it's a dirty clean tone. And because it's dirty clean, those amps are working really hard, and they're compressing the signal, which is why John never gets a volume jump out of his DS2 or any other pedal he puts in line, like the Ibanez Wah or anything like that. It's because those amps are working really hard. They may sound clean, but they're not. It's all an illusion. It's really strange. It's like listening to AC/DC and listen to their guitar tones. They sound really clean, but when you actually stand in front of a cranked plexi, they're not clean at all. But when you record them, all of a sudden they sound clean. It's the same goes with the Super Reverb here and the Deluxe behind me. And because some of the other amps I've got, like the CR here, you can make them sound cleaner recorded when in the room they're actually a lot more distorted than they appear. It's very weird. It's very, very weird. But yeah, like I say, it's not easy, but it is doable with cheap gear. Boss Katana, Squire Bullet or Classic Vibe. If you've got a bit more money, the bullets are amazing. I highly rate Squire Bullets. They're amazing. The bullet straps are just ridiculously good. I love them. I had to get rid of mine. I'm going to buy another one at some point though, because I love them. Yeah, the Squire Bullets. Again, if you've got a bit more money, Classic Vibe. Pedals, DS2, and Ibanez Wah V3. There are other ones on the market, but they're a bit more pricey. The V3 isn't cheap either, but I'm sure you can pick one up second hand for a little bit cheaper. But that's what I'd recommend. Anyway, so I hope it's answered your question. Like I said, I do have a whole playlist on my John Frusciante series. I do have loads of other videos on how I get my John Frusciante kind of tone as well in my channel somewhere. You just have to look through. If you put in YouTube search bar Dave Simpson John Frusciante, they normally come up. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you want to submit a question for these NQs, people of the tube, description box below has an email link. Email me there. If you want to support the channel, there is a link in the description box to my Patreon. If you'd like to consider becoming a patron to help support this channel, I would really appreciate it very much indeed, especially with YouTube being weird recently. Like I say, my Patreon's on there. Thank you so much for supporting me. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much. I literally couldn't do it without you at this point in time. I really can't do this without you. So I'm so grateful to you all, my patrons on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. Like I say, if you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a Patreon. It really, really helps me. It really does, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I have a very, very cool guitar to bring you tomorrow. I've been looking forward to playing this guitar since the first time I saw it. And you will see it tomorrow, people of YouTube. So, and I say, there's going to be 2 videos on it. There's going to be video tomorrow. We're going to kind of like listen to the guitar on its own kind of thing. And then Saturday's vid, I'm just going to get lost in the thing and see what it talks to me and see what it tells me to do. And we'll go from see what music wants me to channel for it, shall we say. Anyway, it's a really cool guitar. It's really funky looking, and I love it. And I can't wait to bring it to you. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for a guitar vid. And yeah, until then, have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. Goodbye now.